This section is covering 3319, which is cranes and derricks. I plan to read out 3319.3 requirements, and there are 10 of them in this particular section. Cranes is a heavy chapter that's covered on the exam, actually in the 40-hour Site Safety Manager class. No owner or other person shall authorize or permit the operation of any crane or derrick without a certificate of approval, certificate of operation, and a certificate of on-site inspections. The next sections are going to cover each one of those three that are required in order to operate a crane in New York City. Exceptions. 1. The requirements of this section shall not apply to excavating or earth-moving equipment except cranes used with clamshells. 2. The requirements of this section shall not apply to cranes or derricks performing an emergency use pursuant to the lawful order of the head of any department. 3. The requirements of this section shall not apply to mobile cranes, including jibs and any other extensions to the boom not exceeding 50 feet in length with a manufacturer's rated capacity of 3 tons or less. 4. The requirements of this section shall not apply to mobile cranes, including jibs and any other extensions exceeding 50 feet, but not exceeding 135 feet in length with a manufacturer's rated capacity of 3 tons or less, except that a certificate of operation as provided in Section 3319.5 shall be required. The requirement for a certificate of operation shall not apply to such a crane used exclusively as a man basket. The Commission may, by rule, exempt other mobile cranes of limited size from any or all requirements of this section. 5. The requirements of this section shall not apply to hoist machines permanently mounted on the bed of a material delivery truck that are used exclusively for loading and unloading such trucks, provided that the length of boom does not exceed the length of the truck bed by more than 5 feet, and that any material transported thereon shall not be raised more than 2 feet in the unloading process. Operators of such equipment shall be exempt from licensing requirements described in Chapter 4 of Title 28 of the Administrative Code. 6. The requirements of this section shall not apply to cranes or derricks used in industrial or commercial plants or yards not used for the construction of the facility. Floating cranes, floating derricks, and cranes and derricks used for floating equipment shall be exempt from the requirements of this section. Operators of such equipment shall be exempt from the licensing requirements described in Chapter 4 of Title 28 of the Administrative Code. 7. The requirements of this section shall not apply to augers, churn drills, and other drilling equipment not used for hoisting any objects. Operators of such equipment shall be exempt from licensing requirements described in Chapter 4 of Title 28 of the Administrative Code. 8. The requirements of the section shall not apply to derricks having a maximum rated capacity not exceeding 1 ton. 9. The requirements of this section shall not apply to mechanic's truck with a hoisting device when used in activities related to the maintenance and repair of construction-related equipment. 10. The requirement of this section shall not apply to articulating boom cranes that do not have an integral hoist mechanism that are used exclusively for loading and unloading of trucks or trailers, provided that the length of the boom does not exceed 135 feet and that any material transported thereon shall not be raised more than 100 feet in the unloading process. Operators of such equipment shall be exempt from licensing requirements described in Chapter 4 of Title 28 of the Administrative Code. Next, I'm going to cover the different required documents that are supposed to be on site before you're allowed to operate a crane.